to now begin your presentation. Before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge traditional landholders here and throughout the world, and especially to Australia's Aboriginal people.
Australia, a land of contrasts, the 6th largest country, yet home to only 23 million people.
Australia is arid. Over 80% of our land is classified as non-productive. Yet, we are the world's 12th largest economy. Australians enjoy a high standard of living. Yet, 10% of Australians live in rural areas with limited access to vital services. Enactus UNE is a part of this 10%.
500 kilometres north of Sydney, on the northern tablelands, lies the University of New England. A small regional university, the 4,500 students studying on campus enjoy a rural atmosphere and a sense of community. This is our future.
The New England region contributes approximately $7.5 billion to Australia's GDP. Agriculture contributes over 25% of this. 3/4 of the land in the New England is used for agriculture. This is farming country.
Aboriginal Australians play a vital role in Australia's history. The New England is no exception, home to the Anawan, Dungari, Gumbaynggirri and Bambay tribes. 8.9% of the New England community identify themselves as Aboriginal. This is my spiritual home.
Australia's future will be determined by its regional communities. Enactus UNE is building strong, connected, well-resourced communities that can meet the challenges of the new century.
Today, Enactus UNE will be showcasing 3 of our projects. FinLit, a project currently in the development and implementation stage, whilst Farming Futures and Minimbar are both in the implementation and expansion phases. We will focus on how our projects effectively consider the relevant social, economic and environmental factors to effectively empower our community.
Rising world population is projected to cause a 70% increase in food demand by 2050. We are facing a global food security crisis. Stop and think. Have you eaten today? Yes? Then like the rest of the world, you depend on agriculture. Australia's agricultural sector is one of the most efficient and productive in the world. To tackle the food security crisis, however, further productivity improvements and innovation are urgently required. We need a skilled workforce. Currently, there are 4 jobs for every Australian agricultural graduate, yet 30% of graduates looking for full-time work are not employed. The sector is desperate for skilled graduates to safeguard future food security.
Enactus UNE has tackled this issue since 2011 through the Farming Futures project. After initial research and consultation with students and senior academics, we discovered that both students and companies in the agricultural sector lack the means to access one another. Our goal is to provide opportunities to connect these target groups and showcase the opportunities for rising professionals in the agricultural sector. In order to reach these groups most effectively, Enactus UNE has partnered with the Rural Science Undergraduate Society, the agricultural student body at UNE. In order to connect these groups, in 2011, we held the inaugural Farming Futures Dinner, at which agricultural and agribusiness companies were able to meet and network with students and graduates at UNE. Upon reviewing feedback, in 2012 we expanded our concept to include an agricultural and agribusiness careers fair, alongside our annual dinner. In the last 12 months, we've implemented a strategic plan, which included the introduction of the Constitution and the formalising of the Farming Futures Committee structure. In order to ensure that the events were affordable to all students, we created a professional prospectus endorsed by the University of New England. This enabled us to generate $42,000 in sponsorship, income and in-kind support. We also secured an agreement with the UNE School of Environmental and Rural Science to underwrite the events to the value of $19,000.
On the 3rd of August 2012, the inaugural Farming Futures Careers Fair was held, attracting 18 exhibitors and approximately 300 visitors. The dinner achieved a 150% increase in attendance from the previous year, with 250 tickets sold. Surveys conducted during the event enabled us to measure our success in reaching our goals. 96% of respondents felt that the dinner provided the opportunity to network. Thus, we successfully achieved our goal of connecting our target groups. 92% of respondents felt that the dinner increased their awareness of job opportunities in the sector, whilst 88% of respondents felt that the careers fair did this. Thus, our student target group was effectively empowered with knowledge of their career prospects in the sector.
As a direct outcome of their involvement with Farming Futures, Reardon Farms, a large Australian agricultural company, has employed 11 undergraduate students for vacation employment. Reardon Farms is just one of 25 companies currently involved in the Farming Futures project. Our project's success has been recognised in both state and federal government, as we're invited to participate in the recent state and federal reviews into agricultural education and training in Australia. Through the use of social and mainstream media, we have garnered over 850,000 media impressions to promote the opportunities in the agricultural sector to the wider community. On campus, our project is improving the quality of life for agricultural students through providing mentoring and leadership opportunities for the first time. 2 students, Joe and Felicity, were recognised as future leaders of the Australian agricultural industry for their inclusion in the 2013 Royal Agricultural Society of New South Wales Rural Achievers Program.
Looking to the future, our partnership with the Rural Science Undergraduate Society and close working relationship with UNE School of Environmental and Rural Science is building capacity for the long-term success of this project. The school has agreed to continue underwriting our events to the sum of $19,000. We have also successfully lobbied for 2 paid administration positions to support the implementation of our 2013 events. For 2013, we have also expanded our goal to include high school students as a target group for the tailored Careers Fair program plan. Locally, we have inspired and empowered 250 agricultural students by connecting them with 25 companies. By promoting and showcasing opportunities in the sector, we are actively encouraging people to consider a career in agriculture. Nationally, we are filling the skills shortage to ensure the Australian agricultural sector can meet the global food security challenges of the new century.
The Minibar project is Enactus UNE's longest standing project, built on a 10-year relationship with the Minibar School, our local primary school for Aboriginal children. Due to the project's expansion, we've split the project into 2, FinLit and Minibar birth certificates.
According to 2012 national standardised school testing results, the performance of Indigenous students is around 2 to 3 years behind that of non-Indigenous students in reading and numeracy. The goal of Minibar FinLit is to increase the financial literacy skills of Aboriginal students. This is an issue we have tackled since 2009 in collaboration with the Community Mutual Group, Australia's largest inland credit union. Students are empowered through a series of interactive classes that cover topics such as how to save, the significance of working, and the value of a dollar.
In the last 12 months, we've expanded our program to include 2 new primary schools, delivering 4 FinLit classes in disadvantaged communities throughout our region. We have effectively empowered 380 students and their families with fundamental financial literacy skills. This has seen an increase of 5 student bank accounts and 25 family bank accounts opened at the Community Mutual Group. The success of our classes has also secured our newest corporate partners, the National Rugby League Club, the Parramatta Eels. The Parramatta Eels recently participated in a FinLit class and have now begun talks regarding a partnership with the Eels Educate program. However, when we first began our classes in 2009, we uncovered a massive social injustice. When trying to open bank accounts, we discovered that 95% of the children at the Minibar school could not open a bank account because they did not have a birth certificate. What we discovered was an identity crisis that was on a national scale.
Minimum birth certificates is now a separate project with its own goal: to equip all Australians with a birth certificate and to simplify the birth certificate and registration process. In Australia, when a child is born, there are two separate forms to fill out. One for birth registration and another for a birth certificate. While birth registration is free, a birth certificate costs $45. Our government is putting a price on a fundamental human right.
What would you do if your child was turned away from their first day of primary school?
What would you do if you couldn't apply for a licence, travel or work?
Could you imagine yourself without a legal identity?
Birth registration is a legal requirement in Australia within 60 days, yet it is estimated 20% of births are not registered in the first year. There are 300,000 babies born in Australia each year. 31% of these fail to attain a birth certificate, which is the initial key to active participation in mainstream society.
After a year of fundraising and lobbying, Enactus UNE delivered 95 free birth certificates and registered 35 births at the Minimum School. This year, through our collaborative research initiative, we partnered with Dr. Paula Gerber from Melbourne's Monash University, the UNE's Law School, the UNE's Law Student Society, and the Community Mutual Group to discover the true extent of this issue. We found that 40% of Armidel's Aboriginal population had not completed the birth registration process. In fact, nationally, 31% of babies born to Aboriginal mothers in 2009 went unregistered.
In response to this research, Enactus UNE successfully lobbied UNE's financial board for charitable tax concessions. Upon receiving this and formalising sponsorship packages, we were able to secure our newest major sponsor, the national telecommunications company, Optus. In total, we raised over $133,000 in sponsorship and in-kind support, enabling us to obtain birth certificates for 1,232 adults and children from 6 rural disadvantaged communities.
It's really important that we have birth certificates for kids. A few reasons: schooling, sporting, identity, most important. So it's really good that we're doing this.
We know that not having a birth certificate impacts on the quality of life and standard of living, as it is a barrier to employment, education and social inclusion. Yet a birth certificate costs $45, generating only $13.3 million in government revenue nationally. Despite consultation with major Australian research institutions, we've been unable to quantify what the current identity crisis is costing Australian taxpayers, because to their knowledge, it has never been quantified. However, thanks to Enactus UNE, research is now underway.
Through publicity, the project has generated 1.7 million media impressions, both nationally and internationally. In response to this publicity, our federal representative, Mr. Tony Windsor, tabled the agenda in our nation's parliament and invited the Minimum team to Canberra, our nation's capital. Following our meeting with the political parties and leaders, and I apologise, we received bipartisan support from all political parties. Our Attorney General, Mark Dreyfus, tabled the agenda at a meeting of state and federal governments. Further debate and funding issues will be tabled later this year. Following our meetings with political parties and political leaders, Enactus UNE has developed a national proposal package for a streamlined birth certificate and registration process. We have tailored solutions such as a means-tested system and incorporation within the National Immunisation Program.
In collaboration with government agencies and private stakeholders, Enactus UNE has formalised a corporate board to ensure the continued expansion of our access days across Australia. We're excited to announce that our newest stakeholder has granted the Minimum project $142,000 to facilitate access to birth certificates and provide greater equity within the education system for students within Northwest New South Wales. We are also very pleased to be launching our new website, a centralised resource which will assist us in expanding our program. Locally, Enactus UNE has equipped 380 students and their families with fundamental financial literacy skills and provided 1,232 Australians with a legal identity. Nationally, we are campaigning for an end to the current identity crisis so that all Australians are equipped with a legal identity to meet the challenges of the new century.
With agreements in place with UNE to underwrite Enactus to the value of $48,000 and team members contributing over 5,000 hours to our projects in the last year, we are in a strong position moving forward. Team growth and sustainability are also promoted through our regular participation in professional development sessions and industry events.
Farming Futures has effectively empowered 250 students with knowledge of their career prospects, and 25 companies have been able to forge links with new and upcoming agricultural graduates.
Minibar Finley has empowered 380 regional children with basic financial literacy skills.
Minibar has empowered 1,232 Australians by equipping them with a legal identity. We continue to campaign for a national streamlined birth registration and birth certificate process.
Enactus UNE has effectively empowered our community, socially, economically and sustainably, to meet the challenges of the new century.
Question and answer period. Only judges may ask questions.
So we're seeking a national partnership agreement because prior to the Minibar project being made possible, the Parliament actually didn't know about this issue. We raised this issue in Parliament for the first time in 2010. They have said we can't take the fee away straight away. We are creating solutions. That's why we have tabled a solution of the means-tested system or incorporation of the National Immunisation Program. Because this is at a state-based level, we need to try and make it a nationalised system. And so that's what we're working with Parliament currently to get this national partnership agreement, to take it out from the states and into the Commonwealth level.
While we're actually at our national competition, we got to meet with our New South Wales Registrar of Births. She was very supportive of the idea, but also understands that there are a lot of people, we understand there's a lot of people who work in New South Wales births, deaths and marriages. But we know that the system isn't efficient. We know that there's too many people slipping through the cracks in the Australian system. There needs to be change, and we're hoping that bringing the price down will be a part of making this change.
You said you raised $133,000 for the Mallon project. Exactly how did you do that?
So we created a professional prospectus, number one, but I think, and then obviously we put out our sponsorship packages and so forth. But the key issue that that gave the most amount of money was charitable tax concessions. Getting that status in Australia is very difficult, but once we received that, we were able to then promote to larger companies. And
we believe there's a lot. There's the average, especially in Aboriginal culture, there's layer upon layer of level of disadvantage. We're talking about one of the most disadvantaged people, not just in Australia but in the world. We know that there are problems associated with dealing with authority. We've found at our days the cost was a huge issue, but we've also found paperwork to be a problem. The paperwork's burdensome. There's 3-page leaflet back to back. We found sitting there working with families to go through the paperwork was a huge help to them. We also found that
the access as well, like you can't do it online, you can't, getting out to regional communities, even to hospitals, they can't get the forms out there. Even in our community, we've had to wait 10 weeks for forms to come to our hospital. So there were 10 weeks of babies that weren't registered, let alone had a birth certificate.
And we understand also that after a mother's given birth in a hospital, and she's just heaped with a whole heap of forms. Then she goes away, which is probably the last thing on your priority list at that point. Yeah, these are our biggest issues.
What is Farming Futures going?
Okay, so what we're seeing is as we get more and more publicity, we are attracting larger and larger companies, and the School of Environmental and Rural Science have just agreed to make Farming Futures a part of the school's annual marketing plan, thus giving the project sustainability and further staff time to help us expand it. And we've actually already held our 2013 events, and we're already looking forward to 2014 and expanding our schools program and engaging more with high school students as well.
In Farming Futures, how do you think employers are not hiring these students full time?
I think the key issue is connecting. Employers don't know where to find these students. The resources aren't available to them.
And also in the agricultural sector, there is a lot of seasonal work. So with our system, when most graduates are looking for work in October and November, it's quite easy to find a summer job throughout harvest, which goes for 4 or 5 months. But in participating in the roundtable discussions with the state and federal reviews into agricultural education and training, the big thing that these companies said was, we have no way to get into the universities and access the students. That's why for every 1 graduate, there is 4 jobs out there. Companies are saying, we don't know how to get to them, and the students are saying, we don't know which companies want to employ us. Yes.
We found they are hiring now. This is a connection. This is a strength of the project, we believe.
How did you decide?
Your time has expired. Judges, please join me in thanking the team for watching.